Some people like to compete, some people also have cars. I've read countless biographies, autobiographies, articles, and news articles to get an idea of these people before. Different statements from many racing drivers caught my eye. Drivers competing in high-profile series say that they like the feeling of competition more. The main thing for them is to win, to complete the finish line at the front. The situation seems to be a little different for drivers competing in smaller and relatively inexpensive series. The love for cars carries drivers to a competitive environment with an overdose effect after a point. The name we will talk about today is Ken Block. It's like a mix that came out by collecting a little bit of everything sought after. It is a combination of the two phenomena that I just mentioned. He is not a perfect racing driver, maybe no world championships. But if we look at the years we left behind, no one could integrate with his car as much as him. Ken Block was born in 1969 in New York. When we look at his life story, there are some small details. As these details come together, we begin to understand the big picture much better. For example, his academic education is on design and advertising. It's like a harbinger of what he will do in the future. After his university life, he started his business life in the early 90s with the construction and operation of skate parks. One more reason to understand that you love action and adrenaline. As his interest in automobiles increased at that time, he transferred his skate park business to DC Shoes, where he would later become a partner. Ken Block, who worked as a marketing manager at this company in the early 2000s, started to participate in professional races in 2002 by taking his real passion one step further. Being second in his first rally adventure motivated him to walk this path. In the future, especially his driving style called Gymkhana impressed him a lot. When we look at the history of Gymkhana, this culture dates back to Genghis Khan. During the reign of Genghis Khan, the horses were pushed to the limit in relay races. Horses and cavalry, which were of great importance in Mongolian culture, were formally integrated, going far beyond the expected performance. The current Gymkhana driving style also draws its inspiration from the past. Drivers who push the limits of cars to the fullest make incredible rides on the tracks. Demonstrate their ability to move by making various figures and turns with their vehicles, a very good point to show the limits of the car and the human. Ken Block was arguably one of the best in the world at this point. Combining driving skills with marketing ability, with the widespread use of the internet, many initiatives were undertaken. Since 2009, he has made many people know himself with his Gymkhana performances on YouTube. His performances and shooting quality, it was close to cinema quality. This allowed people to show more interest in Ken Block to gain an audience. The clothing store Hunnigan he founded and numerous commercials he starred in helped take their productions further. It was clear that his driving style was a dangerous game. Ken Block was careful at this point and tried to keep security measures in the foreground. Although the rides and the image drawn reflect a relatively street style, the vehicles and tracks used were carefully prepared. In addition to all these, he continued to compete in the rally series. He already had a third place, a second place, and a championship in the American Rally Championship. He also competed in the World Rally Championship and Rallycross stages. Like many action athletes, cars were not Ken Block's only source of adrenaline. He participated in motorcycle races professionally and gave some Gymkhana-like performances. I have already told you that in his youth he was interested in skateboarding and ran a skate park. Snowboarding was also another area of interest. He also drove a snowmobile. A statement made by Hunnigan Racing in the first days of 2023 stunned its fans. It was shared that Ken had an accident and died by being under a snowmobile. Internet users in a certain period, anyone who knows him or not must have met him somewhere. His drives that pushed the limits and his bold moves managed to find a place for himself on many screens. It became the subject of video games. Its tools have been integrated into games. Ken Block will live on with what he left behind.